Rommel is retreating towards Tunisia. 2 days later, in order to secure the Mediterranean coast, Hitler invades southern France, the hitherto unoccupied free zone. Hitler's orders are to take the port of Toulon, where most of the Vichy navy is based. With their shaky autonomy now at risk, the Vichy admirals decide to scuttle their fleet. They proceed to sink their own ships in order to keep them from falling into the hands of the Germans or the Allies. That is the tragic result of the politics of the Vichy regime. But it's not good news for Hitler. With the arrival of the Germans, those Jews hiding in the remaining pockets of French tolerance have little chance of survival. Amidst the increasingly sinister atmosphere of roundups and denunciations all over Europe, children are saved by courageous families. Like Karl de Brouwere's family. He is a Belgian banker. He films his 4 children, while he and his wife Denise hide 2 Jewish children. Monique Mogelski, the 12-year-old daughter of an engineer, who is hiding somewhere himself. And 6-year-old Adrian Sepkaru. Adrian's mother was arrested and deported to a work camp in Eastern Europe. She will never return from Auschwitz. By now, many people suspect that when the occupiers use words like work camp, its true meaning is death. Karl and Denise de Brouwer are everyday heroes who will one day be awarded the title of Righteous Among the Nations, along with more than 20,000 other men and women from all over occupied Europe. "3,000 kilometers away, outside of Stalingrad, the Germans have been enjoying a brief respite behind the lines before returning to fight the Russians in order to eliminate their remaining pockets of resistance. The German army's flanks are defended by units from the Reich's satellite countries, Romanians, Hungarians, and Italians, who are totally unaware of the danger looming just around the corner. A few kilometers away, the Soviet troops are preparing to attack. They are ready to fight, and there are over 1 million of them. They are going to storm the enemy's weakest units in order to surround the German army occupying Stalingrad. At 7 a.m., the Soviets obliterate the enemy's lines, pounding them with the rocket launchers they call Stalin's organs. Zhukov's massive army launches the offensive. The Hungarians don't have enough ammunition. The Romanians don't have any anti-tank weapons. They, as well as the Italians, lost a massive number of men. The two Soviet armies from the north and the south meet up. Soviet filmmakers use their skills to glorify the moment. The Germans see the Soviet tanks close the circle around them. General Paulus's 6th Army is trapped inside Stalingrad. Hitler is in the Berghof, his retreat in Berchtesgaden in the Bavarian Alps, where he is informed of the Soviet offensive. His immediate reaction is to hide this news from the German people. He rushes off to his headquarters in East Prussia, declaring, "If the Sixth Army withdraws from Stalingrad, the Wehrmacht will never be able to return." Paulus could still break out of the encirclement, but he would have to obey orders. For when Hitler arrives at the Wolf's Lair, he sends him this message: "Stand firm. An army will come to rescue you." But no army is able to reach them, and the aeroplanes of the Luftwaffe fail to deliver sufficient supplies, in spite of the promises made by the head of the Air Force, Hermann Göring. At Christmas, rations are reduced to 50 grams of bread and 12 grams of fat. Mussolini, who has just lost an army in Stalingrad, is looking for a way to shift German attention back to North Africa. He writes to Hitler, "In my opinion, Russia can never be annihilated. She is defended by her very size, a territory so vast that it can never be conquered or held. The Russian chapter is over. We should make peace with Stalin." What would Hitler do? To negotiate would be to admit that the campaign in Russia was a huge failure. Future events, however, will not give Hitler the choice. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, has arrived in Casablanca in Morocco to attend one of the most important meetings in modern history. He and Churchill want to settle the prickly question of French political power. Roosevelt wants to exclude de Gaulle, who since 1940 has been claiming his legitimacy as the leader of the French resistance movement. Roosevelt says, "General de Gaulle is a soldier, certainly a patriot and devoted to his country. But on the other hand, he is also a politician and a sectarian, and I believe in him he has all the attributes of a dictator." Roosevelt prefers to invite another of France's great leaders to Casablanca, General Giraud. Taken prisoner in 1940, he has just escaped from Germany and arrived in North Africa. He cuts a dashing figure. Churchill continues to support de Gaulle, whom he invites in order to try to reconcile the two rival generals, which is not an easy task. Roosevelt and Churchill agree that future cooperation between the two adversaries is necessary in order to save France. It is obvious that Roosevelt has warmer feelings for Giraud than for de Gaulle. Then at the closing press conference, Roosevelt and Churchill make a declaration of the utmost importance. With great vehemence, they pronounce the words that will henceforth become the Allies' credo: unconditional surrender by Germany, Japan, and Italy. There will be no more negotiating. The Allies will keep fighting the Axis powers until the very end. The price in lives will be high, and many believe that this radical position, whose purpose is to reassure the Soviets, will only serve to increase the Germans' devotion to their Führer. Stalin is satisfied. He feared that Hitler would conclude a separate peace with the Allies in order to pit all of his forces against Russia. He launches his offensive to annihilate the beast still lurking in the ruins of Stalingrad. Beyond the red flag is the Univermag store, where the commander of the Sixth Army, General Friedrich Paulus, is entrenched. His men surrender. The day before, Hitler had promoted him to Field Marshal, thinking it would compel him to commit suicide in order to save his honor. Paulus, however, on the verge of collapse, weakened by dysentery and revolted by the absurdity of Hitler's orders, allows himself to be captured. Field Marshal Paulus is an extraordinary prize for the Soviets. He is the man that masterminded Operation Barbarossa, the plan to invade the Soviet Union. The Soviet leaders can hardly believe it. Paulus will collaborate with the Soviets and testify at the Nuremberg trials against his former commanders, such as Keitel. When he is released in 1953, he will settle in East Germany. His reaction is mainly a rejection of Hitler's outrageous policies. Many of his men feel the same way. Hitler can go to the devil, the German prisoners dare to mutter in the few words of Russian they know. We want to go home.